In this video, we'll uncover 8 shocking disaster stories you probably haven't heard of before. From strange events that left everyone speechless to chaos that'll get your heart racing, this New Year's special compilation will keep you glued to your seat. Trust us, you won't want to miss the jaw-dropping mysteries that changed lives forever. As always, viewer discretion is advised. Nestled within Alabama's Bankhead National Forest, McBrides Cave lies concealed under thick woodlands and rough landscape. From above, the cave appears simple, merely a split in the earth that leads into darkness. Those who venture inside discover an amazing maze filled with stunning sights and dangerous paths. The walls shine with flowstone formations resembling frozen waterfalls sparkling under dim lights. The cave's tight corridors wind through spaces where old stalactites and stalagmites stand like ancient guards. Water drops create steady sounds throughout the cave, making an otherworldly melody. McBrides Cave holds great beauty but demands respect from visitors. Its winding passages, deep drops, and constant flood risks make it famous among cavers as a true test of skill and bravery. During May 1997, 11 skilled cavers learned firsthand about the cave's harsh nature. Their bold journey into its depths became a fierce battle to stay alive, showing the strength of human spirit against nature's mighty force. The team that came to McBrides Cave on May 31st, 1997, brought plenty of experience. Gerald Money led with many years of caving knowledge, while Nancy Aulenbach possessed keen judgment, and Forrest Platt showed fearless determination. 8 more experienced cavers joined them, each bringing special skills and tools for what seemed like a difficult but doable mission. They aimed to explore the entire cave system, starting from the top entrance and ending at the bottom exit, moving through its complex network of underground waterways and vertical cliffs. The team came ready with proper gear. They wore wetsuits to stay warm in the cold cave waters, brought ropes for climbing down steep drops, and shared a strong bond that would become vital during their upcoming ordeal. Rain started falling as they neared the cave entrance. Weather reports mentioned incoming storms, but the group stayed committed. The cave welcomed them with a dark opening where flowing water disappeared into blackness. The brave group started their journey at midday, using headlamps to light their path through the darkness. They handled the first 2 rope descents smoothly, moving deeper into the cave's cold interior. However, at the bottom of the second drop, they faced their first obstacle. The usually dry path leading to the third pit had transformed into a rushing stream of water. The team noticed their first warning sign but continued forward. Moving carefully across the slick rocks, they used their expertise to handle the increasing water levels. The cave seemed unwelcoming at every corner, challenging their determination. As they approached the climb near the massive 90-foot pit, worry started to build inside them. This section had a dangerous history. Just 2 years before, another explorer had broken their foot in this exact spot. The group worked together perfectly while preparing for the climb. They set up the ropes with great care, and each member went up and down the steep drop one after another. The thundering sound of water grew stronger, reminding them of the cave's raw strength. Suddenly, everything changed. When a teammate encouraged Forrest Platt to jump into a deep pool below, things went wrong. Instead of landing in deep water, she hit a hidden rock shelf. Everyone heard the bone snap. Her tibia had broken. Despite the intense pain shooting through her leg, Platt stayed brave. She told the group to keep moving toward the lower exit, thinking it would be quicker than going back the way they came. Her teammates gathered around her, creating ways to help her through the dangerous path. They used ropes to assist her down the 90-foot pit, while water crashed against them during their descent. Every move tested their power and will, but they stayed together, making sure no one was left behind. Platt's injury marked just the start of their troubles. As they moved deeper into the cave, the rising water became more than just difficult. It threatened their lives. The water flow grew stronger, passages became tighter, and the temperature dropped further. The cave seemed to fight against them at every step. Brent Aulenbach got hurt when his headlamp smashed into his nose, causing a cut. Another team member hurt their ankle. The cave showed no mercy. At the 7th pit, things became truly dangerous. They found a tight crawl space leading to a drop that seemed impossible to pass through the flooded conditions. They barely had room to keep their heads above the water, and the strong current threatened to pull them under. In this terrible moment, Gerald Money, their leader and most skilled caver, lost his hold on the rope while going down. He crashed onto a ledge below, breaking his thigh bone. Money's injury brought disaster. He stayed still on the ledge, unable to move, his pain echoing through the cave walls. For the team, everything changed at this moment. They now had 2 badly hurt members and found themselves trapped in a cave that seemed determined to keep them inside. They knew they needed help, but getting it would prove extremely difficult. With determination in their hearts, 3 team members, Kressler, Porter, and the injured Platt, began their journey to reach the lower entrance for help. Their path tested every bit of their strength. The flooded passages forced them to crawl through icy waters, their wetsuits offering little comfort against the freezing temperatures. They pressed their faces close to the ceiling in the narrow spaces, fighting for each breath as the strong water tried to push them backward. Their spirits remained unbroken, and after many exhausting hours, they finally reached the outside world to alert rescue teams. The rescue mission turned into one of the area's most challenging operations ever. Rescue teams worked from both cave openings, facing the same harsh conditions that had trapped the cavers. A dangerous water-filled passage blocked their way at the upper entrance, making them think of new ways to move forward. The lower entrance presented its own challenges, with tight spaces and powerful waterfalls testing their abilities. Deep inside the cave, the remaining team members fought to maintain their warmth and peace of mind. Monty's wetsuit helped shield him from the cold, but the threat of hypothermia loomed large. Nancy Aulenbach faced the biggest challenge, having chosen lighter clothing. Her body shook more severely as time passed, and her fellow cavers worked hard to keep her motivated. As morning light appeared, the water started to drop, giving rescuers their chance to act. They pushed through the cave's hardest parts and reached Monty and his companions, bringing much-needed supplies and medical help. Working together smoothly, the team carefully moved Monty onto a stretcher and guided him through the water-filled passages towards safety. The ordeal lasted more than a full day before Monty reached the surface. A helicopter took him straight to the hospital for surgery and healing. The entire rescue showed the amazing skills and courage of everyone involved, from the trapped group to the brave rescue teams who put their lives at risk. The McBrides Cave incident proved nature's incredible power and showed why proper preparation matters so much. The team's choice to keep going, despite early warnings, almost ended in tragedy. Still, their unity and strength during such hard times showed true bravery. Gerald Money and his friends learned a powerful lesson about staying humble. Even the most skilled cave explorers must respect nature's might. McBrides Cave remains a place that shows both natural wonder and serious danger, still drawing brave souls who want to push their limits. For those familiar with its story, the cave commands deep respect, serving as a powerful reminder that adventure and survival often share a very thin boundary. Nature, in all its beauty and complexity, operates in intricate systems beyond full human comprehension. These systems, composed of countless variables, are impossible to predict with precision, even with advanced science. At times, this unpredictability results in tragic events that remind us of nature's immense power and our limited control. On July 27, 1999, the town of Interlaken, Switzerland, witnessed one such catastrophe. A canyoning trip meant to showcase the beauty of the Saxetten River ended in unimaginable tragedy, claiming 21 lives in what remains the worst canyoning disaster in recorded history. Interlaken, nestled in the Bernese Oberland region of Switzerland, is a jewel of natural beauty and cultural charm. surrounded by the emerald waters of Lake Thun and Lake Brienz. With the towering peaks of the Eiger, Mensch, and Jungfrau as its backdrop, the town has long been a magnet for tourists. It combines stunning Germanic architecture with the serene vistas of the Swiss countryside, offering activities that cater to all kinds of adventurers. Among its attractions, Interlaken has become synonymous with extreme sports. Visitors flock to the town for paragliding, bungee jumping, skiing, and canyoning. For those seeking adventure, canyoning promises an unforgettable experience, one that blends nature's beauty with physical challenges. On July 27, 1999, 45 tourists arrived in Interlaken to embark on a canyoning trip through the Saxetten River Canyon, led by guides from Adventure World, a local company specializing in adventure tourism. The tourists, hailing from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Switzerland, and the UK, were divided into 4 groups, each accompanied by guides. The trip commenced at 4:30 p.m., with each group entering the canyon at staggered intervals to ensure a seamless experience. Spirits were high as participants marveled at the canyon's stunning formations, the result of thousands of years of erosion by the Saxetten River's powerful currents. The first group included Australian tourist Kelly Brajakovic, who had eagerly anticipated the trip. Guided by Karen Miller and Mike Abbott, Kelly's group navigated the twists and turns of the river. When they reached a section known as the Fridge, Kelly faced her first significant challenge. This portion of the canyon required participants to submerge themselves in freezing water and pull themselves across a boulder while keeping their heads above water. After several attempts, Kelly was catching her breath when a terrifying sound echoed through the canyon, the unmistakable roar of an approaching flood. Mike Abbott shouted, "Get out of the water!" as an avalanche of water, mud, rocks, and debris surged downriver. Flash floods are a known hazard in canyoning, particularly in mountainous regions like Interlaken, where sudden thunderstorms can release immense volumes of water into narrow river channels. On this day, localized thunderstorms upstream triggered a torrent that tore through the canyon with devastating force. The flood's arrival was catastrophic. The sheer volume of water, combined with debris such as logs and boulders, created a deadly avalanche that overwhelmed everything in its path. Guides and tourists scrambled to escape, climbing the canyon walls or clinging to rocks for safety. Karen Miller demonstrated extraordinary courage, repeatedly diving into the raging waters to rescue stranded tourists. She successfully saved several lives before the flood swept her away on her 4th attempt. Karen, just 30 years old, died a hero, her bravery forever etched in the memories of those she saved. Despite the efforts of the guides, the flood claimed 21 lives, 18 tourists and 3 guides. The victims ranged in age from 19 to 31 and represented diverse nationalities, including 14 Australians, 2 Swiss, 2 New Zealanders, 2 South Africans, and 1 Briton. Survivors described the scene as chaotic and surreal, with the floodwaters carrying people and debris past them in an unstoppable torrent. In the immediate aftermath, authorities launched an extensive investigation into the disaster. While the flash flood was initially deemed an act of nature, further scrutiny revealed troubling evidence of negligence on the part of Adventure World. Founded in 1992 by Peter Boehmer and Stephen Frieden, Adventure World had quickly risen to prominence as a leader in extreme sports tourism. The company's rapid growth came at a cost, as former employees highlighted systemic issues, including inadequate safety measures, overworked staff, and a reliance on inexperienced guides. Dave Erickson, one of the company's earliest guides, had raised concerns about safety as early as 1995. He resigned after witnessing what he described as a growing disregard for proper procedures in favor of maximizing profits. Jeff Clark, another experienced guide, stayed with the company in hopes of implementing change, but grew increasingly disillusioned. By 1999, the company's overbooking practices had reached unsustainable levels. Guides often worked in unsafe weather conditions and were pressured to lead tours despite warnings of potential hazards. On the day of the disaster, weather alerts warned of high thunderstorm risks. However, Adventure World proceeded with the trip, ignoring the warnings. To make matters worse, 7 of the 8 guides accompanying the tourists were first-year employees, lacking the expertise needed for such conditions. In 2001, several Adventure World staff members faced charges of manslaughter. While they were convicted, their sentences were suspended, and they were fined between 4,000 and 7,500 Swiss francs. Many felt that the penalties failed to reflect the gravity of the company's negligence. The Saxeton River canyoning operations were permanently shut down, and Adventure World's reputation was irreparably damaged. The tragedy became a cautionary tale, prompting tighter regulations and oversight in the adventure tourism industry. The Interlaken disaster stands as a grim reminder of nature's unpredictability and the devastating consequences of human negligence. While adventure tourism offers unparalleled opportunities to explore and connect with the natural world, it must be governed by strict safety standards and ethical practices. For the 21 lives lost in the Saxeton River that day, their memory serves as a stark warning. Their story is not just one of tragedy, but also of heroism, as individuals like Karen Miller demonstrated extraordinary courage in the face of overwhelming danger. The canyon's waters, once a symbol of adventure and wonder, now carry the weight of a tragic legacy. The lessons learned from this disaster continue to resonate, ensuring that future adventurers can explore the wonders of nature with greater awareness and respect for its power. Deep in southern China's wild countryside lies a mysterious and awe-inspiring place that combines stunning beauty with deadly peril. The South China Karst stretches across 500,000 square kilometers, containing some of Earth's most complex cave networks. Time and water have sculpted these limestone formations over millions of years into more than just geological wonders. They serve as doorways into a hidden underground realm that draws thrill seekers, researchers, and bold adventurers. Within this massive karst landscape sits one of its darkest secrets, Judan Cave, an underwater maze so treacherous and intricate that people call it Asia's underwater Everest. The cave's shadowy passages, filled with endless twists and bottomless depths, have claimed the lives of expert divers. Still, Judan's deadly reputation fails to deter explorers who burn with desire to unlock its mysteries. Judan Cave welcomes visitors with a misleading entrance, a giant vertical opening named the Skylight. Sunbeams pierce through thick forest branches, lighting up the transparent waters underneath. The scene appears peaceful and enchanting, completely hiding the lethal depths below. This stunning feature attracts photographers and drone operators, but experienced divers see it as nature's warning sign. Diving past the Skylight means entering a realm where even tiny errors prove fatal and survival demands absolute perfection. Wang Dao and Wang Yang grew up in a tiny village near the South China Karst, where Judan Cave's stories captured their young minds. Local people whispered about the cave, sharing tales of brave explorers who ventured in but never emerged. The boys couldn't resist Judan's mysterious pull, spending their childhood roaming nearby woods and imagining the thrilling adventures waiting in the depths. Their fascination evolved into complete dedication as they matured. They started diving training, determined to master Judan one day. They spent years developing their abilities, tackling increasingly difficult dive sites. They learned about decompression science, became experts with advanced diving gear, and sought knowledge from experienced cave divers. Their mission remained crystal clear. They would explore Judan Cave and live to share an unprecedented tale. By 2014, Wang Dao and Wang Yang had transformed into skilled professionals with extensive diving experience. They felt ready to face Judan Cave's greatest challenge, the unmapped sections lying beyond 160 meters deep, Such extreme depths demanded more than just technical skill. The intense pressure at these depths threatens both body and mind. The morning sun blazed across the skylight as Wang Dao and Wang Yang stood at its edge, their diving equipment shining brightly. Their support diver, Zhou Pei, checked the guide ropes one final time. The air crackled with intense energy. This dive would push them beyond normal human limits, testing every skill they had mastered. They plunged into the water without hesitation, leaving the surface world behind. The initial descent felt peaceful. Sunlight pierced the crystal-clear water, lighting up the cave walls in golden hues. Massive rock formations surrounded them in breathtaking beauty. Enormous stalactites dangled overhead like nature's chandeliers. The stunning view almost made them forget the deadly challenges waiting below. The deeper they went, darkness started closing in. The water turned ice cold, and the walls squeezed tighter around them. Their visibility dropped dramatically, forcing them to rely on their powerful lights. Only their rhythmic breathing broke the deep silence, constantly reminding them of their limited air supply. Trouble struck at 150 meters when Wang Yang's air tank started leaking. Precious air bubbles escaped into the water, but his extensive training kicked in. He fixed the leak swiftly and calmly, demonstrating how thin the line between survival and disaster runs in cave diving. The team pushed forward despite this scary moment. They switched to backup air tanks and continued descending until they reached their target, 164 meters deep. Very few divers had ever ventured this far into Judan's depths. They secured their guide rope firmly, marking their historic achievement, before moving toward unexplored passages. The sight that greeted them left them stunned. An enormous chamber opened up, its walls covered in bizarre formations, unlike anything they'd seen before. The scene felt completely alien, like stepping into an ancient world frozen in time. The team's amazement quickly turned to dread when their guide rope suddenly went loose. The vital lifeline that marked their path to safety had broken free from its anchor. They found themselves stranded in Judan's depths with no clear way back. Fear threatened to overwhelm them as reality sank in. Without the rope, navigating the maze-like passages seemed impossible. Every direction looked identical, just endless darkness broken by their light beams. But their years of rigorous training prepared them for such life-threatening situations. They started searching methodically for the lost rope, running their hands along the rocky walls, fighting to stay alive in the depths of Judan. After endless searching, they spotted the rope swaying in the dark water. This small victory brought little comfort. Their real battle had just begun. Wang Dao suddenly got stuck beneath a sharp rock outcrop, the tight cave walls preventing any movement. The situation turned desperate fast. Wang Dao's air levels dropped dangerously low as he struggled against the rocks. His friend Wang Yang immediately shared his own air supply, but they both knew this solution wouldn't last long. The crushing pressure at this depth made every move painfully slow, draining their precious air even faster. Wang Yang barely made it to the surface, his body completely drained and suffering from the bends. The rescue team launched an immediate search for Wang Dao, but found nothing. Judan Cave had taken another life into its depths, leaving everyone with heavy hearts and unanswered questions. The loss crushed Wang Yang completely. Though he survived physically, the emotional scars cut deep. The dark passages of Judan and those final moments with his friend would haunt his thoughts forever. Judan Cave stands today as a powerful reminder of human courage and nature's raw force. Adventurers still come from everywhere, drawn by its mysteries. But the cave shows no mercy to those who enter. Every diver knows the deadly risks that wait in its depths. The cave's pull remains strong even now. Its incredible beauty and endless secrets draw people in. But experienced divers know the truth. Judan punishes every mistake harshly. Success and disaster balance on a knife's edge here, where even the bravest can fall. Deep in Texas's untamed wilderness, a mysterious cave waits silently beneath the surface. 09. Well stands as a testament to nature's raw power, having claimed lives and forever changed those brave enough to step inside. Experienced cavers know the harsh truth about these underground chambers. Their beauty masks deadly dangers, unpredictable conditions, and sometimes fatal consequences. The whispers about 09 well began circulating in the 1980s. People spoke in hushed tones about its treacherous drops and hidden dangers lurking below ground. The cave's notorious reputation grew in the late 1990s when Joe Ivy entered its depths. Joe stood apart from casual cave enthusiasts. His years of spelunking experience had taken him through the world's most challenging cave systems. Yet, 09 Well presented a challenge unlike anything he'd encountered before. Together with his companion Tim Stitch, Joe embarked on a bold mission to 09 Well. Their goal burned bright: to discover an unmapped passage within the cave's depths. This drive for discovery fueled experienced explorers like Joe. Money and recognition meant nothing compared to the thrill of finding untouched chambers hidden beneath layers of ancient rock and flowing water. The cave had become Joe's second home through numerous previous expeditions. He knew every detail of the terminal room, felt comfortable in the tight spaces, and had grown accustomed to the cave's perpetual dampness that clung to the air like a heavy blanket. The vertical drops made even veteran cavers pause, but Joe never showed hesitation. Tim had witnessed this fearless determination countless times. That fateful day of September 30th, 2000, Joe and Tim led a group of 16 seasoned cavers into 09 Well's depths. They came fully equipped, acknowledging the cave's deadly reputation while remaining determined to push forward. Their mission focused on exploration and mapping the unknown sections. The route through the terminal room demanded multiple rappels down successive drops into the cave's darkness. Joe had orchestrated every detail of the expedition with precision, selecting specific ropes, identifying anchor points, and planning each movement. Nothing remained to chance as they began their descent into the abyss. For Joe and Tim, this mission carried more weight than their usual weekend explorations. The cave drew a significant crowd that day. Texas's tight-knit caving community showed up in force, bringing together experienced explorers who'd shared countless underground adventures. Despite their combined expertise, 09 Well demanded absolute respect and focus from every person who dared to enter. The cave's structure challenged them with 3 major vertical drops, each more daunting than the previous. The first descent stretched 30 feet, manageable with proper rope techniques. But the deeper drops tested their skills severely. The team pushed forward until they reached 200 feet below ground level. Deep in the cave's belly, Joe's trained eye caught something remarkable. Above the main passage, tucked away in the darkness, an unexplored opening beckoned. Years of caving had sharpened Joe's ability to spot these hidden treasures. His heart raced at the possibility. Joe's voice carried the unmistakable thrill of discovery as he called Tim's attention. Both men felt the pull of exploration, but reaching the opening posed serious challenges. The climb demanded careful planning, multiple anchor points, and precise execution. Joe's determination burned bright. This could be their chance to leave a lasting mark on caving history. Fate struck without warning. As they prepared their climbing setup, disaster struck. Joe took the lead, securing a bolt into the rock face. Suddenly, the seemingly solid surface crumbled beneath him. The safety rope couldn't fully stop his fall. His body slammed violently against the cave wall, bouncing and tumbling downward. The rescue specialist and other team members sprang into immediate action. Their exciting exploration transformed instantly into a frantic rescue mission. The fall had wedged Joe's body awkwardly between rock formations. When Tim finally reached him, the sight turned his blood cold. Joe barely clung to consciousness. His breathing came in shallow gasps. Blood seeped from numerous cuts across his body. His arm hung at an unnatural angle, crushed by the impact. the signs of severe internal trauma became increasingly apparent. The cave's darkness seemed to press in closer as Tim assessed his friend's injuries. The tight-knit caving community now faced their worst nightmare. One of their most experienced members lay critically injured, deep within 09 Well's merciless depths. The race to save Joe's life had begun, and every second counted in this unforgiving underground battlefield. The rescue team jumped into action with fierce determination. They quickly set up ropes, medical supplies, and anchor points, but every passing minute made the situation more critical. The team's muscles burned as they struggled to free Joe from the cave's grip. The narrow passages and slick rocks fought against them at every turn. Hours dragged by as exhaustion set in, but they refused to give up. The deeper sections of the cave turned the rescue into a brutal battle against time and nature. Their hearts pounded with growing desperation. Then Joe's chest stopped moving. The rescue team finally pulled Joe's lifeless body from the cave's depths, but victory had already slipped through their fingers. Despite their relentless efforts, they couldn't save one of caving's brightest stars. Joe Ivy, a legend in the underground world, died in the very environment he'd spent his life mastering. The news hit the caving community like a physical blow. Joe's absence left a gaping hole in their ranks. His vast knowledge, generous mentorship, and adventurous spirit had shaped countless careers. He'd guided new explorers into the underground world, teaching them to navigate its challenges safely. Now, darkness claimed their trusted leader. Joe's death sparked a powerful movement in the caving world. 09 Well still stands as a formidable challenge. Its dark passages continue to draw bold souls into the unknown. But now it carries extra weight, a stark reminder of exploration's steep price. Joe Ivy's story burns bright with passion, courage, and ultimate sacrifice. His drive went beyond simple thrills. He pushed into the darkness to unlock Earth's hidden secrets, to understand what lay beneath our feet. Today, 09 Well commands deep respect among cavers. They speak Joe Ivy's name with hushed admiration, remembering a man who gave everything to uncover underground mysteries. His spirit lives on in that cave, inspiring new generations of explorers who venture into its depths. His legacy flows through every rope dropped and every passage mapped, reminding them that true discovery demands both courage and respect. George Lenain, a 38-year-old company director from Bristol, England, lives an extraordinary life. He excels in multiple fields. His social media profile showcases his diverse talents: engineering, scuba diving, caving, and a passion for hot sauce. Born in Fareham near Portsmouth, George grew up in a naval family. His father's naval career sparked George's love for adventure early on. Mexico changed George's life in 2014. A scuba diving experience in a cenote, an underwater cave, ignited his passion for cave exploration. He threw himself into cave diving, dedicating countless hours to master the skills through rigorous training. His fellow adventurers know him as a tough, skilled explorer who never compromises on safety in dangerous situations. The caving community holds a special place in George's heart. He believes cave exploration creates unbreakable bonds between enthusiasts. His dedication shows through his volunteer work with the South and Mid Wales Cave Rescue Team, where he combines his exploration skills with helping others in need. Caving demands more than just courage. It tests both physical endurance and mental strength. George emphasizes that caving focuses on discovery rather than thrill-seeking. Cavers push through challenging conditions, squeezing through tight spaces, navigating wet and muddy passages, all to witness stunning underground worlds with massive chambers and spectacular formations. Ogof Finon Du, the Cave of the Black Spring, stands as George's favorite exploration spot. This remarkable cave system in South Wales holds the title of Britain's deepest cave, plunging 902 feet deep and stretching over 31 miles. Its complex maze-like passages, rushing underground streams, and stunning rock formations make it a caver's paradise. Yet these beautiful caves hide deadly risks. Flash floods, falling rocks, and treacherous terrain can transform an exciting adventure into a fight for survival. George would soon face this harsh reality firsthand. On November 6, 2021, George embarked on a caving expedition with his friends Mark and Melissa. They planned to explore the Upper Smithy, a lesser-known section of Ogaf Finnan Didu. The group aimed to return within 6 hours, planning to catch the fireworks display at the South Wales Caving Club headquarters. The team ventured into the cave early that day, making their way through slick, wet passages. The recent downpours made every step tricky, but their excitement grew as they discovered the cave's hidden wonders. After exploring for several hours, they decided to turn back. Their exit route led through the Upper Smithy, the most treacherous section ahead. Mark and Melissa crossed safely, but fate had different plans for George. As he stepped forward, trusting what looked like solid ground, everything changed in an instant. The rock floor crumbled beneath his feet. George plunged 30 feet into darkness, with rocks and boulders crashing down on him. The brutal impact knocked him out cold. George woke up to searing pain shooting through his body. The fall had left him severely injured. 4 ribs cracked, his collarbone out of place, his jaw smashed, and his right leg badly hurt. Blood poured from a deep gash running from his mouth to his chin. Mark scrambled down to help George, while Melissa stayed close by. Seeing George's critical condition, Mark knew they needed professional help fast. He made the tough call to race out for rescue teams, leaving Melissa to watch over George and keep his spirits up. The next few hours hit George like a nightmare. Each breath brought waves of agony, and he battled to stay awake, knowing unconsciousness could mean death. Melissa kept talking, bringing up stories about his life and Julie, trying to distract him from the pain. Mark burst out of the cave at 2:30 p.m. and raised the alarm with the South and Mid Wales Cave Rescue Team. Help mobilized immediately. The rescue effort grew massive, with over 250 volunteers from different cave rescue teams joining forces. The rescuers faced a daunting task. George lay trapped deep inside, beyond dangerous passages and an underground river. Getting him out meant stabilizing his injuries, carrying him through rushing water and pulling him up vertical drops and through narrow spaces. Time crawled by as rescuers pushed forward. In the cave's darkness, Melissa fought her feelings of helplessness while keeping George focused. At last, around 4:30 a.m. on November 7th, the first rescue team reached George. They quickly checked his condition and started preparing for the grueling journey to safety. The rescue team jumped into action, carefully securing George's broken leg with splints and giving him strong painkillers. Still, the pain ripped through him as they moved him onto a stretcher, wrapped in waterproof gear, for the river crossing ahead. Getting George through the cave pushed everyone to their limits. Teams worked non-stop in 6-hour shifts, fighting their way past jagged rocks, tight corners, and rushing water. They stayed connected using cutting-edge radio gear, sending constant updates to the surface team. The rescuers refused to give up despite the brutal conditions. They made vital stops to warm George with electric heating packs and pump him with medicine to stop his internal bleeding. After 54 brutal hours underground, the team finally broke through to the cave entrance. They rushed George straight to the hospital, where doctors worked around the clock on multiple surgeries. His incredible fight to stay alive left the medical team stunned. The rescue mission made history as one of Britain's most challenging and successful cave rescues ever. It showed just how much people can achieve when they band together with total dedication. The ordeal transformed George's life forever. Though still healing from his injuries, his love for caving burns as strong as ever. Deep within Mariana, Florida lies Jackson Blue Springs, a breathtaking natural gem that showcases the splendor of Florida's freshwater systems. While many know Florida for its sandy shores and exciting theme parks, the state's hidden springs offer the most magical views. Jackson Blue Springs shines among them all, combining clear waters with opportunities for fun, rich history, and thrilling exploration. This magnificent spring belongs to Florida's vast network of over 1,000 freshwater springs, shaped through thousands of years as groundwater moved through limestone layers. This natural process created underground water channels that rise to the surface, forming the beautiful springs that make Florida special. As a first-magnitude spring, Jackson Blue Springs releases more than 64.6 million gallons of water each day. Its waters remain crystal clear and maintain a pleasant temperature between 68 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit throughout the year, creating a perfect home for water creatures and a refreshing spot for visitors. The story of Jackson Blue Springs goes back many centuries. Native American tribes lived near the spring for thousands of years, using its waters for daily needs and sacred ceremonies. During the 1800s, the spring area became part of larger farming lands and served as a place for soldiers to rest during times of war. As the 1900s arrived, the spring transformed into a beloved community spot. This tradition lives on today as both locals and visitors come to enjoy its peaceful shores. Jackson County works hard to protect the spring, making sure its natural beauty stays untouched for future visitors to enjoy. Jackson Blue Springs offers endless adventure possibilities. While many enjoy activities on the surface like swimming, kayaking, and fishing, the real treasure lies underwater. The spring connects to a vast cave system below, drawing scuba divers from across the globe. These underwater caves showcase nature's amazing work, with winding tunnels stretching for miles underground. Divers can explore depths between 81 and 90 feet, experiencing an otherworldly underwater scene. The incredibly clear water allows divers to see up to 80 feet ahead, making these caves a perfect spot for diving adventures, as long as divers come ready for the challenges ahead. Cave diving demands great skill and courage. Unlike swimming in open waters where the surface stays close, cave diving involves moving through tight spaces with limited light. Divers must use special ropes and equipment to safely explore these underwater passages. Jackson Blue Springs serves as both a learning ground for newcomers to cave diving and a challenging test for experienced divers. The main cave starts with wide, easily navigable spaces, but soon leads to narrower, more intricate passages. Only those with proper training and certification can attempt these dives, and even the most skilled divers must remain extremely careful. The spring's mysterious depths attracted many adventurers, including 38-year-old Ben Strelnick. Ben lived his life chasing thrills and taking on new challenges. Ben's connection with nature started in his small hometown. His early years filled with hiking trips, fishing adventures, and camping experiences shaped his lifelong love for exploration. As time passed, he added more exciting activities to his list, including rock climbing, snowboarding, and finally, scuba diving. Ben matched his love for adventure with his desire to help others. After completing his outdoor education degree from Johnson State College in Vermont, he became a certified wilderness EMT. During the difficult times of COVID-19, Ben stepped up as an EMT volunteer, working endlessly to help those in need. His service continued through his work at Divers Alert Network, DAN, where he provided medical aid and emergency support to divers around the world. On May 26, 2023, Ben set out on his last adventure. He arrived at Jackson Blue Springs with a friend and colleague, ready for another day of exploration. The two divers carefully checked their equipment, making sure everything worked perfectly. Once satisfied, they entered the welcoming waters of the spring. Their dive started well as they moved along the main path, going down to about 90 feet. Upon reaching the cave system's entrance, they set up their guidelines, an essential safety measure that helps divers find their way back if they lose direction. About an hour into their underwater journey, Ben spotted something interesting: a small, unmarked passage branching off from the main route. An old guideline caught his eye, showing that other divers had ventured there before. Following his natural curiosity, Ben decided to explore this passage. Using his Sidewinder rebreather, special equipment designed for tight spaces, he carefully moved into the narrow opening. His diving partner, who had less experience in cave diving, stayed behind. As Ben moved deeper, the passage grew tighter. His movements stirred up the sediment, making it nearly impossible to see. Yet, Ben continued forward, relying on the guideline to keep him connected to safety. The situation turned terrifying as the passage became extremely narrow. Ben found himself unable to move forward or turn back, completely stuck in the tight space. His heart raced as he realized the gravity of his situation. Back in the main chamber, his diving partner grew increasingly worried. After failing to locate Ben, despite several attempts, he made the tough choice to swim back to the surface and seek emergency help. The rescue team called in Ed Sorensen, a highly skilled cave rescue expert. Sorensen, with years of experience in saving divers from dangerous situations, quickly arrived at the scene and dove into the spring. Despite his remarkable skills and determined efforts, he couldn't reach Ben in time to save him. The loss of Ben deeply affected his loved ones and the entire diving community. His adventurous spirit and passionate approach to life left lasting memories in the hearts of everyone who crossed his path. Following this tragic incident, Ben's family members and fellow divers started working together to spread awareness about cave diving dangers. They strongly emphasized the need for proper training, reliable equipment, and thorough preparation, reminding divers to always respect the unpredictable underwater world. Slot canyons stand as nature's remarkable creations, narrow, twisting passages etched deep within the earth across millennia. These magnificent formations draw adventure seekers like magnets. The soaring sandstone walls, often separated by mere feet, invite explorers to trek, scale, and occasionally swim through their constricted, dim passages. Canyoneering, blending hiking, climbing, and rappelling, remains a top pursuit for thrill seekers worldwide. Within southern Utah lies the remarkable Keyhole Canyon. This rapid swim canyon presents a series of descents into cool water pools below. While not suited for newcomers, it serves as an ideal training ground for mid-level climbers developing their abilities. Even during scorching summer days, Keyhole's frigid waters remind visitors of the mighty flash floods that shape these formations. Yet beneath this splendor lurks a concealed threat: the unpredictable weather patterns that can transform peaceful adventures into life-threatening situations. The sport of canyoneering emerged fairly recently, flourishing in the 1970s. Still, these canyons have witnessed human presence for hundreds of years. The Anasazi people pioneered navigation through the maze-like slot canyons of the Colorado Plateau. Modern canyoneering took its current form when trailblazers like Dennis Turwill began exploring these pristine territories. Dennis and his companions ventured into Keyhole Canyon in 1979, describing it as tiny and insignificant. Their exploration relied on simple equipment, ropes, and wetsuits to traverse the harsh environment. The sport has since witnessed tremendous growth. Zion National Park now hosts hundreds of daily canyoneers, up from just a few. This surge raises concerns about safety measures and environmental conservation, as some fear these once isolated wilderness areas resemble busy attractions. The growing interest has sparked improvements in equipment and instruction. Today's adventurers utilize specialized gear, including lightweight helmets, dynamic ropes, and canyon-specific harnesses. Many participants now undergo wilderness survival and first aid training, recognizing that small errors in these unforgiving environments can lead to serious outcomes. Despite these technological advances, canyoneering continues to pose significant risks. During August 2015, 7 nature enthusiasts from California set out on what seemed destined to become their greatest adventure. The group consisted mainly of individuals in their 50s, united through their hiking club and shared appreciation for nature. Among them were experienced hikers, including Mark Mackenzie, a utility engineer with extensive rappelling experience, and Muku Reynolds, a grandmother dedicating nearly every weekend to wilderness exploration. Each member had personal motivations for attempting Keyhole Canyon, bound together by their mutual passion for discovery and fellowship. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation as the group assembled at Zion National Park. The prized Keyhole Canyon permits, limited to just 80 visitors per day, rested safely in their possession. Steve Arthur, a decorated sheriff's sergeant known for his bravery, had successfully secured these coveted passes. The team methodically checked their equipment, helmets, harnesses, and ropes, unaware of the approaching storm system. Keyhole Canyon held deeper meaning for these adventurers beyond mere exploration. It offered an escape from their routine lives into the untamed beauty of nature. Their meticulous planning spanned weeks, involving detailed research of techniques and careful equipment selection. Despite their thorough preparations, an unprecedented challenge awaited them. The morning began with a National Weather Service forecast indicating a 40% chance of precipitation and potential thunderstorms later that day. The flash flood risk level shifted from low to moderate by midday. The group had already embarked on their journey, moving forward despite these alerts. While rangers displayed warning signs about Slot Canyon entry at Zion's Visitor Center, without official closures, the final choice remained with the adventurers. Mark Mackenzie captured the seemingly peaceful moment, sharing an image of clear skies labeled lunchtime view from the office. The group reached Keyhole Canyon's trailhead by 1:30 p.m., oblivious to the impending weather transformation. Slot Canyons faced their greatest threat from flash floods. These powerful surges, triggered by intense rainfall, barrel through narrow passages with tremendous force, carrying debris, rocks, and vegetation. Once trapped inside, survival becomes nearly impossible. Though warning signs existed, the group, like many explorers before them, felt confident in managing potential risks. Their canyon descent began around 4:15 p.m., filled with excitement to experience the challenges ahead. Laughter echoed as they captured photos, their wetsuits shielding them from the cold waters. The overcast conditions failed to dampen their enthusiasm. This expedition represented more than a simple hike. It offered a rare opportunity to forge deeper connections with nature and fellow adventurers. The atmosphere transformed as they ventured deeper into the canyon. Dark clouds gathered overhead, while thunder echoed in the distance. The team continued forward, using their shared rope system for descents. Unknown to them, authorities had issued a flash flood warning at 2:22 p.m., but their location prevented cellular communication. The storm, now unleashed in full fury, raced toward their position. By 4:46 p.m., nature unleashed its raw power on Keyhole Canyon. The peaceful Virgin River transformed into a raging monster, its flow exploding from 55 to 2,630 cubic feet per second in mere moments. Violent waters crashed into the canyon, filling its narrow corridors with a deadly mix of mud and debris. The group found themselves trapped within the canyon's smooth, towering walls, with no path to safety. The storm's destruction extended beyond the canyon walls. Thick mud blanketed the roads, while small landslides scattered across the landscape. The treacherous conditions hindered rescue attempts, leaving rangers only able to call into the canyon's openings. Their desperate calls echoed through the passages, met only with silence. The next morning marked the beginning of an extensive search operation. A dedicated team of over 60 volunteers from various agencies worked relentlessly through challenging conditions. The swollen waters and dangerous terrain created enormous obstacles. After several days of searching, they made the heartbreaking discovery. All 7 adventurers had lost their lives to the flood's fury. Their sought-after adventure had ended in profound loss. This devastating event highlighted nature's overwhelming force. Even with their extensive experience and careful planning, the group proved powerless against the sudden, violent flood. The beautiful yet treacherous Keyhole Canyon had claimed more lives, adding to its somber history. The incident transformed discussions about canyoneering safety and park management. Park officials enhanced their monitoring systems, while maintaining that nature's unpredictability would always pose inherent risks. Modern radar systems and instant updates now assist rangers in making vital decisions. Yet these technological advances serve only as tools. The ultimate responsibility lies with those who venture into these natural wonders. The California group's story endures as a powerful reminder for future adventurers. Their experience emphasizes the critical balance between pursuing thrilling experiences and maintaining safety in nature's domain. While Keyhole Canyon continues attracting visitors worldwide, its breathtaking beauty remains forever linked with its potential dangers. The sport of canyoneering continues to flourish, drawing adventurers from diverse backgrounds. Training programs have evolved, providing comprehensive education about risk assessment and emergency response. Modern explorers now carry advanced satellite devices, ensuring communication capabilities in remote locations. The magnetic appeal of slot canyons persists despite their inherent risks. These natural formations stand as monuments to Earth's artistic power, each wall telling ancient stories through its unique patterns. For those who approach with proper preparation and deep respect, these canyons offer an extraordinary journey into nature's most intimate spaces, revealing the raw essence of our planet's geological artistry. In Georgia's Gagra Mountains, 4 of the world's deepest caves hide. The Veryovkina cave stands out, not just for its depth, but for how hard it is to explore. It's so tricky that teams usually spend months planning before they go in. Since its discovery in 1968, no one has ever tried to go solo. It's not just a bad idea, it's unheard of. Exploring Veryovkina is a team job. The cave has 6 camps where explorers can rest and eat. But no matter how you slice it, the 250-foot drop is tough. It takes about 3 or 4 days to go down and the same to climb back up. Enter Sergei Kosev, a 37-year-old from Russia's Voloy district. He wasn't your typical daredevil, but he loved adventure. He first heard about Veryovkina Cave in his village. The last team to go there was in September 2018. They were Russian cavers from the Perovo-Spalayo team. They made it down 6,900 feet before a flood forced them to turn back. But Sergei, who had just started caving as a hobby, wasn't scared. If anything, he was curious. Sergei needed a challenge. He was going through a bit of a life crisis, looking for something to give his life meaning. The idea of exploring Veryovkina Cave seemed perfect. It was a chance to push himself to the limit. For months, Sergei studied the cave, looked at maps, and got ready. He was careful in his planning, but there was one big problem. He was going alone. On Halloween night, 2020, Sergei casually told his wife he was going on a trip to the mountains the next day. He didn't say much, just that he was looking for the meaning of life and would be back soon. On November 1st, he got in his car and drove to Abkhazia, Georgia. Most groups get official permits to explore Veryovkina, but Sergei skipped that step. He was going in secretly, using maps and info he found online from past trips. Sergei reached the cave's entrance and saw a big, dark hole in the ground. The rocky cliffs around it made it look scary. He couldn't see much inside, just a deep, dark pit. But Sergei wasn't scared. He was ready with his camo overalls, hiking boots, and climbing gear. He tied a rope to a strong rock and started going down. The first 1,300 feet were really hard. Sergei knew he had to be careful. It was mostly straight down, but he also had to crawl through tight spaces and go around big rocks. Sometimes, he had to swim through cold, muddy water in deep holes. After hours of hard work, he made it to the first rest stop at 1,247 feet. Tired but happy, Sergei took a break. His phone said he was at Camp 1300. He changed his wet clothes and ate some food. He was surprised to find stuff left by the Perovo-Spaleo team. They had to leave things behind because of the flood, so Sergei used what he could. After resting, Sergei kept going. His next stop was Camp 600, 1,969 feet from the top. This part was easier, but he still had to deal with tight spaces, slippery climbs, and more cold, muddy water. When he got to Camp 600, he was really happy. This camp had more stuff, like cooking gas, food, and even a makeshift toilet. Best of all, there were sleeping bags, so Sergei could get some good sleep. Even though he could have kept going down, Sergei stayed at Camp 600 for a whole week. No one knows why he waited so long. Maybe he was getting used to the cold, or maybe he needed more time to get ready in his head. Whatever the reason, after a week of rest, Sergei was ready to go to Camp 1000, which was 3,280 feet from the surface. As Sergei went deeper into the cave, he started feeling really cold. Around 2,600 feet down, it got super chilly, between 4 and 7 degrees Celsius, and very damp. Without a wetsuit to keep him warm in the cold water flowing through the cave, Sergei was in trouble. He could have gone back to get warmer clothes, but he had a big problem. He forgot his clamps and stirrups, which he needed to climb back up. He had no choice but to keep going down. Feeling less hopeful, Sergei pushed onto Camp 1000, fighting the cold all the way. When he got there, he thought he might find some gear to help him climb back up. But after looking around, he found nothing. No wetsuit, no stirrups, nothing at all. Tired and upset, he fell down, knowing he was stuck. His only hope was to make it to the next camp at 4,430 feet, but he was getting weaker fast. As Sergei went past 3,600 feet, the freezing water became too much. His body was shaking a lot, and he could barely hold the rope. By the time he reached 3,600 feet, he couldn't go on. He couldn't move his hands or legs, and his body was giving up. He was too cold, and Sergei knew he was dying. In his last moments, he let go of the rope and fell into a deep sleep, never to wake up again. Sergei's wife, used to his solo trips, didn't report him missing for weeks. 9 months later, in August 2021, some cave explorers found a rope going into Veryovkina cave. Worried that someone might use the rope by mistake, they followed it down and found Sergei's body. They used his phone to confirm who he was through an app for missing people. Getting Sergei's body out of the deep cave was really hard. It took 100 climbers to do it, but when they saw how deep and tricky the cave was, they knew they couldn't just pull his body up in one piece. With his wife's okay, they had to cut up his body and bring it up bit by bit. After days of work, they finally brought Sergei's remains to the surface on August 16th, 2021. It was a sad end to an adventure that Sergei hoped would give his life new meaning. Instead, it showed how dangerous extreme exploring can be, especially when done alone.